Yeah, say 0.1 I think would be like kind of the maximum you can do. Yeah, so you can see all the wallpapers it's changing into now. And then you could just work like this like a fucking psychopath. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Bashing the Bash. Now in this one, I wanted to show you how to change wallpapers using the command prompt, and I'm using XFCE. This because I kind of didn't find a lot of like stuff that worked to change wallpapers using the terminal, so that's why I made this kind of video. But you can use whatever you want. And so first of all, I'll show you how to change the background. If you aren't really interested in the scripting tutorial, I'll just show you how it is now. So by default, XFCE has a tool here called xconf for xfconf query. And what we want to do is query for XFCE for desktop. Then we want to list and grep for last images, or last image I mean. So this will give us three options. You can ignore the first one, so these two are the important ones that we need to change. So then P, select which one works for you. Now I have tried this one, it didn't work for me, so I will use this one. And then the S will be where your image is stored. So this one's stored in Ubuntu, pictures, and then I have a few pictures inside here, so I'll just set 2. And as you can see, if I minimize all this, this changes. And then if I go to 3, we can change again. Alright, so that's how you do it through the command line. And now for the scripting tutorial, I'll introduce you to some arrays and stuff like that. So that'll kind of be it. So in here I have 5 images and then the script here. So for the script, we'll actually make it change it randomly, and then you can like choose whichever one you want to change, for example. So I'll open up in mousepad here, and this is just temporary stuff. We'll use that later, it's commented out. So here we have the script telling the computer that we're going to use bash. Alright, so to start off, we will set a default. We'll create a default variable, default wall we'll call it. So this is just if something goes wrong, we can just reset it to this one. And this one we will change it to one.jpg, and then we'll write a function to change the wallpaper. So change, then from the last Bashing the Bash episode, you should remember how to do functions. So it's basically like this, and then you put whatever you want inside here. Now we're going to use this, and then we're going to pass in the wallpaper that we want to change. So that'll be the first argument there. So we can just do, as a test, we can do change and then default, for example. So just copy that. And so yeah, save that. and then run wall. As you can see, the wallpaper changed there, so our script works all right. So now let's make it a little bit more complicated. So we can ask the user to actually change it by doing this. So this will take the first command line argument and change it to the wallpaper. If we go back, we can do wall and then direct it to home, Ubuntu, pictures, then let's go 5 JPG. As you can see, we can change it like this. Okay, and then now we'll make the random changing one. So first we'll need to parse a few command line arguments, because for random, instead of passing this, I want to pass, like, say tac r. Then when you run tac r, it'll change to a random image. Now this changed it to blue because this file is not, -r is not a file basically, so we need to check for that as well if we wanted to. So to check the arguments, we can do an if statement followed by that, and it is important that you have everything spaced out. So now we will check if we have input basically. So if z s1, you can actually just delete this one for now. So this is checking if there is something present. So for example, you could run wall with nothing. So we don't want to be able to do that. So this is where we're checking. So this checks if the variable has something in it. And because we need to check if it doesn't have anything in it, then, or if it has some, because this checks if the variable is empty. So if it is empty, we can execute here, but what I want to do is actually check if there is something in the variable. So that's why we need this. This is basically kind of flips the statement around. So if this is true, this will make it false, and if this is false, this will make it true. So like whatever this is, this makes it the opposite of that. So then we can do the change here, and we can actually pass in the command line variable again, and then if it is empty, we want to print out an error message. So echo nothing selected. So changing to default, and we're actually going to change to default now. So change, and then the default wall. So if we supply nothing, you'll just change to default. So we save that, go here, supply nothing, changes to default, and if we supply something, it changes to whatever you supplied here. Now, so for the random, we actually want to check if s1 or $1, basically the first argument, is -r, then we want to do random. So this is basically the same if statement. Well, very similar. If. And now we want to surround this with quotes as well. Then double equals -r. Then what we want to do is echo changing randomly, and else and if it's not that, then we can just change it to whatever the username supplied. So if s1 is something, the first command line argument actually has something in it, check if it is tac r. If it is, then just change the wallpaper randomly, and if it isn't, just change to whatever S1 is. Now you can also check if S1 is actually a file, and to do that we can do if -f, and then put the S1 in here. So if that exists, then we can change else echo not a file exiting and feed. So we can check for this now. So if we do home.5, or well, let's change it so we can actually see the visual difference. There we go. And if we change to something that doesn't exist, like 44, then not a file exiting. So as you can see, nothing happened there. So that's just handy error correction. Now to do the random, Bash offers a variable called random, which just generates a random number if you echo it. So we will actually use this to generate a random number. Now because we have 5 images, we need to generate a random number between 1 and 5. So before we do that, I'll actually show you how to create arrays. So the plan here is to create an array storing all of these images here. Now of course we can just use, for example, the number and then attach the number. Yeah, so we'll actually do that first. We'll attach the number at the end. So first we need to create a random number between 1 and 5. We'll actually save this into a number variable over here. And now to use math operations in Bash, you need to have basically this format here, the double parentheses, then the space in between. And we are going to grab that variable again that we saw here. We're going to use this variable, and we're going to modulate 5 since we have 5 images. So for example, if I echo this inside here, you can see that random numbers are occurring. Now, as you can see, it starts at 0. We don't want that in this example, so we can just do +1. And then here as well, +1. As you can see, now there shouldn't be any 0, so you should see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5. So all the numbers are coming up randomly. So that's what we will use. Then to change to an image, since we named our images like very nicely, like 1, 2, 3, we named them in order. You can also do this if you named it in a different order. I'll show you how to do that using array in a bit. So once you got the, oh yeah, by the way, the modulus is kind of like a fraction. So if you divide whatever number by 5 and then get the remainder, for example, if this was 10 and you divided 10 by 5, you get 2, and then the remainder is 0. So that would be, I'll just show you here. So instead of random, we can do like 10. This will lead to 1 because we have +1. So I'll just get rid of the +1 so it won't confuse you. So 10 divided by 5 is 2 with the remainder of 0. So therefore the 10 modulus 5 is 0. If I did 11, 11 divided by 5 is 2 again, but with a remainder of 1. So it'll be 1. And then you can use like massive numbers as well. And it will always give you like between 4 and 0 in this case. So that's how we use this number to create random numbers. Okay, and now we can change. So since all our images are basically this, and then we'll use the number and then .jpg. Now since this is kind of surrounded by stuff, we need to have it inside these curly brackets, because otherwise Bash will think that the .jpg is also part of the name. And then if we do wall or changing randomly, change it, we can actually see which number it created. So I'll actually put this under here and then attach number at the end of this. So num, then do wall or again, say changing randomly 4, 5, 2, 3, 5, 3, 5. Alright, so what do you do if you don't have, if your images are named, you know, properly instead of numbers? Well, we will create an array now, so you can pick images from a specified array. So we'll do this, wall, then we'll call it list with the underscore. And to create an array, you create it inside here, like so. So we'll start off with the first one, then to add second one to the array, it's the same thing. I'll actually just copy this, but make sure you have a space here. This is what separates the elements of the array in Bash. So this is a variable that holds 5 different strings basically, whereas this is a variable that only holds 1 string, and that's kind of difference. So if we were to echo out some stuff, so for example, if I echo wall list, so you can just do the randomly again. If I echo out the word wall list by itself, it'll only display the first element. And now, to get access to the other elements, you need to use square brackets, and then you can select which element you want. So element 0 will be this, because computers, they start counting at 0. So this will be 0, 1, 2. So if we echo 0, and then if we echo 1, we'll see how that works. Yeah, so I forgot that you need this when you're working with arrays. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, my bad. I forgot that you need to surround arrays with this. So like before, we did it here because we wanted to separate it from here, but you also need to do it inside here as well. So as you can see, we have 1 and 2, and if we change this one to 4, which is the last element here, because 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, this will show the 5th element here. As you can see, 5. All right. Now, if you want to list all elements, you use @ so we save this and echo. It will list every single element, and this is handy if you're if you're looping through each element in the array. So I'll actually show you how to loop for each element in the array as well in a bit. And then another thing is, if you want to get the number of elements in the array, you just append this here, and if we execute that again, as you can see, we have 5, because we have 5 elements in the array. Now we'll be using this later, but for now we can just comment this out. And then since this looks kind of messy, if you have like a load of images, you don't want to keep adding them here. So to split up an array, you would have backslash and then just go on to new line, like so. Then actually uncomment this again, just to show you that this still works. As you can see, they're all showing up there. Now, if we wanted to use the arrays as random, we don't need the +1 anymore, since the count starts at 0, so we can actually just do this. But if you're adding stuff here, then it gets kind of annoying updating this all the time, so we can just use what we had before with the count. So this will evaluate to 5, since there's 5 elements here, and then we can just run the wall again. 2, 4, 0. Why didn't 0 work? Oh yeah, because I forgot to change this as well. So change this, we would actually get rid of all of this, and then bring this back, and we will, instead of like putting 1, 2, 3 in here manually, we can just stick a variable in here. So this will evaluate to a number, and then we can just change it here like so. So as you can see, changing randomly 4. So this would have evaluated to 4, and then this whole string would have, or this whole variable would have evaluated to 4. If I did it properly. Alright, so we can go again. 1, 2, 4, 3, 0, 0, 2, 0, 4, 1, 3. So yeah, that works pretty well. See what else would we do. Oh yeah, so another thing is, if you want to have some fun, we can loop through each one of them. So for the loop, we can do tag R. So here we can do an elif statement. Elif, and then just copy this. Equals L to loop. Then we can do, because I promised to show you how to go through each array in order. So that will be 4. Let's go with image in, and then this here. Do, then just change image. And then we'll sleep for 1 second, and then done. So now if we run L, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as you can see, it looped through all the images there. And we can actually show some output here, for example. So echo changing to image. So as you can see here, we we evaluated everything here, showed everything. We'll actually just delete this so it doesn't get in the way. And then there we go. Perfect. So yeah, that's how you loop through all the images. Our original method still works. Our random method still works. And then our loop still works. And then if you want another feature here, for example, we can also just copy this, paste it, then this one we'll call it did. So for this feature, I'll actually loop through all the images without the sleep, and we will loop forever. So while, probably have to put these inside here. Let's try that. Yeah, so it's actually changing so fast. That's not registering. All right, let's see if we can slow this down a little bit. So let's do like 0.5, half a second. Yeah, there we go. Let's see how fast we can go. So like 2. Oh yeah, that works. It's a bit chugging, but it still works. Let's see if we can go even lower. 1. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Let's see if we can go even lower. So 0.5. Or I say that's as lowest as it goes. Then you could just leave that running. Oh, it's actually only changing between 2. Alright, that's a bit too fast. Yeah, say 0.1 I think will be like kind of the maximum you can do. Yeah, so you can see all the wallpapers it's changing into now. It might be skipping some, I can't really see. And then you could just work like this, like a fucking psychopath. Alright, so that's it. Thanks for watching, and bye bye.